Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Arena Talks. Today we will talk about the new Indiana Jones movie, Movie 5. But first a note of the host of this podcast. Due to the little problem I have with my name change, I have to use my original name again and I have to change the name of this podcast back to Arena Talks. I would appreciate it if you like this video, subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends and family. And now for the plot of the movie. Indiana Jones Movie 5. In 1944, Nazis capture Indiana Jones and Oxford archaeologist Basil Shaw, and they attempt to retrieve the lance of Longinus from a castle in the French Alps. Astrophysicist Jürgen Fuller informs his superiors the lance is fake, but he has found half of Archimedes' dial, an Antikythera mechanism built by the ancient Syracusan mathematician Archimedes, which reveals time fissures, allowing for possible time travel. Indy escaped onto a Berlin-bound train filled with looted antiques and frees Basil. He obtains the dial piece and the two escape the train just before Allied forces derail it. In 1969, Indy is retiring from Hunter College in New York City. Marion has recently left him and filed for legal separation due to Indy's depression after their son Matt was killed in the Vietnam War. Indy's goddaughter, feminist archaeologist Helena Shaw, unexpectedly visits and wants to research the dial. Indy warns that her late father Basil became obsessed studying the dial before relinquishing it to Indy to destroy, which he never did. As Indy and Helena retrieve the dial half from the college archives, Fuller's accomplices attack them. The CIA assists Fuller, now working for NASA as Dr. Smith. Helena revealed as an antiquity smuggler, absconding with the dial to auction on the black market. Indy is framed for two colleagues' murders, forcing him to escape through the Apollo 11 moon landing parade, then an anti-war protest. He seeks out his old friend Sella, now a New York cab driver. Sella submits Helena will likely auction the dial in Tangler, then help Indy flee the country. At a Tangler hotel, Indy disrupts Helena's illegal private auction, but Fuller and his henchmen arrive and steal the artifact. Indy, Helena, and her teen sidekick Teddy Kumar chase them through the streets in a tuk-tuk. The CIA intercepts Fuller after the US government disavows him for going rogue, but his cohorts murder the agents and steal their helicopter. The three travel Fuller to Greece and team up with Indy's old friend Ronaldo, a professional sea diver guided by Basil's research. They drive to an ancient Aegean Sea shipwreck and retrieve a Grappagos tablet containing direction to the dial's other half. Fuller arrives and murders Ronaldo. Indy's group escape and heads to Sicilia, pursued by Fuller. Inside the ear of Dionysius' cavern, Indy and Helena find Archimedes' tomb, the dial's second half, and a 20th century witch watch on Archimedes' skeletal arm. Fuller appears and captures Indy, wounding him. Helena and Teddy escape and chase Fuller. After reassembling the dial, Fuller reveals his plans to time travel back to 1939 to assassinate Adolf Hitler and help lead Germany to victory in World War II. At an airfield, Fuller activates the dial and locates a time fissure in the sky. Indy is held captive and Fuller's stolen plane while Helena stows away through its landing gear. Teddy follows them in another plane. While approaching the fissure, Indy realizes that continental drift could have altered the timeline coordinates. Rather than 1939, the group arrives at the siege of Syracuse in 212 BC. The warning army shoot down Fuller's plane, believing it's a dragon. Indy and Helena parachute out just before the plane crashes, killing everyone aboard. While Teddy lands safely, Archimedes finds Fuller's body and witchers in the wreckage. He gives Indy the doll but keeps the watch. Indy and Helena learn that Archimedes created the dial to bring news from the future through fissures and lead only to 212 BC. As the fissure begins to collapse, Indy wants to remain behind, feeling he has nothing to return to. Helena, fearing a time paradox and unwilling to give up on him, knocks Indy unconscious. Back in the present, a recovering Indy awakes in his apartment. Helena, Teddy, Salah and Marion are there as well. Marion and Indy reunited. Well guys, my first remark is that this is a typical Indiana Jones movie. It's full of action. Well, I surely can say action on action. Of course, we still have the great history lessons in it, in a way. But I thought in this movie it's more action than the history itself, or why Indy is looking for the dial. There's another comment that I really have, and you could see that right away. Indy and Marion are very, very old in this movie. And of course, bear in mind, Harrison Ford is already 80 years old, or 81, so yeah, old is old. But that's what I always had hoped, that when Harrison Ford will play Indy for the last time, because this is his last movie as Indiana Jones, that Matt, his son, will take over. Unfortunately, this is not going to happen, because we learn very soon that Matt, his son, Marion's and Indy's son, has been killed in the war of Vietnam. And I always had thought that Matt would be step into Indy's footstep. So in that case, unfortunately, we can't count on another Indiana Jones movies or series. I really, really had hoped that Matt would take care of his legacy. But we also have, of course, Helena Shaw. She is the goddaughter of Indy. And in one way she looks very familiar to me. And in the first place, I thought she was that actress from Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. But she was another actress. She looks very familiar, or similar to her. That's why I thought she was that actress. I must say, I didn't like her, to be honest. She had this double agenda. In one moment she was really sweet and was really cooperative with Indy, but like say 80% of the time. And in the other side, she had this darkness. She would be a one footstep with the enemies, and in the other hand, and she wanted this relic to sell on the black market to make a lot of money. And knowing her father, I was thinking, what the hell are you doing to your father? He is this decent oculist, and he is doing his best to keep artifacts like that safe, and they have to. And you hear Indy saying that a lot, that artifacts like the dial and the gramophone has to be in a museum. Now we're talking a bit of the enemy. We have, that is Victor Fuhrer, if I'm correct. Fuhrer is this Nazi German that live in the States now and worked for NASA as under the name Dr. Smith. And what he wanted to do with the dial of Archimedes is causing a temporal rift so he can go through it and go travel to 1939 so he could kill Hitler and bring Germany to power, world power. I believe the same actor is also playing in Dumbledore's Secret. He played the lover of Dumbledore. But in one, some people can play only bad villains, you know? And sometimes I have that with Jason Isaacs as well. He's a very sweet and nice man, but on screen he plays the bad villain always. And in one way that's a bit shocking, but okay. Well, I mean, he played this scientist that is, I think, under the impression that he could change history. That is one reason he wants to take up the dial of Archimedes. So in like the first 30 minutes you will see that Indy has been captured by the German in Nazi Germany. So we are seeing that we are in 1944 and the war is going, and Indy is sitting in a full load of train, a train full loaded of artifacts and antiques. And as you know, Hitler was really into the arts and was robbing everything he could to have in his own collection, but also like, okay, if you made it, well, it's not for you anymore, but it's for Germany. Germany is Kaiser. And, you know, in one way, it's really, how can I say that? It's just, it reminds me a lot of the other Indiana Jones movies because it's just in the same setting. And I don't know what to think about this. And, you know, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Monument Men. They actually exist. It were like art people who joined the army and they were hunting down the arts that Germans stole, or Hitler stole. And it reminds me very much in the same way. The only thing is that Indy always ended up in adventures. And, you know, I don't know if it's like, again, an Indiana Jones movie like an Indiana Jones movie. But that's how it came over to me. Also, I thought that this movie was really, I don't know, it's just like old and the same settings. And you can see that in the IMDb rating, because IMDb rating was just a 6.6 for this movie. And I don't want to say that I expected a certain things in the movie, but it is like, it's nothing new in that way. And personally, it would be nice to see that, of course, we see Indy is still a professor, but he's gonna be retiring. But personally, I would have loved to see that there was a student. I have to pick a student now because Mutt has passed away. That a student will step into his footsteps, have that same interest and be maybe, maybe he be athletic and good in sports in school, but he has the fitness for to go on the adventures like Indiana Jones would. And well, we see in a part of the movie that Indy is saying, I feel old, everything hurts, etc., etc. And the thing that I don't know if this really is the last Indiana Jones movie. It would be a bit of a sad thing because it's still one of the most adventurous movie series characters that we have, and that combines with the old ancient knowledge. And I think that is one thing I like about it, because I love history, I love the things that I love to study certain people, but also like what the culture is and what they did and etc. So they ended up, and I mean they is Indy and Helena. In the beginning you see them in the archives of to get the dial, and they figured out that is just the half of it, and they need a complete set to coordinate the what they call a time riff. And it's that the Victor Fuller is wanted it so he could travel back in time and correct some things, and that would harm the timeline, what we know. So I have to be a bit back, because when Indy had been retiring from the university, the next day we see him be awake by his young neighbor, and he was very agitated and annoyed by it. And then they mention it's Moon Day. And what was the Moon Day? It was the that Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin as like that was going to the moon and had stepped on the moon, and they were coming back, and we see him in like a chase, and everyone was he has been accused of murder of two colleagues, but in fact it was the CIA and some people from Victor Fuller. So Indy was right away in danger, and then Helena showed up, and she was all the reason for all of that. And like I said before, I don't like her that much because she is really, she's not the type of people that I would. She's not honorable in that way, and in one way she wants to be like her dad, as you can see in the movie, but also she is the opposite of it. Like I said, she's very dark in the way of greedy and the money, etc. So I think the moon day was very important as well, and like Archimedes, who has a big role in this movie, Archimedes is the tone of what Indy exactly does. And when Indy is meeting him in real life, when Indy was in that time rev, going back to time 212 DC for, DC, or BC. And you could see, and that was the sad part of this movie. Indy wanted to stay in 212 for BC, and that was because he didn't have anything to live for anymore. Marion wanted to divorce him. Mutt was dead. He has been retired, so he has no clue what he has to do with his time. And I think this was, in a way, going on an adventure again of, not of the good, but it's more like, it was like Bilbo Baggins. He needed to be important as well, feeling important, feeling not in quite as lonely, but you know what I mean. And in the way that I was thinking also, are they really going to let him die this movie? Because if this really is his last movie, why not let him die? There's no one who will inherit his legacy, you know? So what we also see is that after Helena leave in that archive with the CIA people who are shooting on him, I really don't like her behavior and towards Indy as well, and why it's just ridiculous that she hadn't been seen her for 18 years, and then doing this something to him, that's just like a big betrayal to her father as well. So what we know as well is that Helena wants to sell the doll on a black market to earn a lot of money out of it. So this is her turn, or her idea of stealing it from the archive, and of, in this way, of Indy. And she really brings back bad vibes with her, really. And at the point that happened, I was thinking of myself, Helena has some explaining to do. What I did notice too is that in this movie, Indy has been captured and escaping for quite a lot, and at least 3 times, and that's really, really. I don't know. Is that the way of the writers to show us that Indy is old and that he is not that fit anymore? I don't know. What do you guys think? What we also see, and I was really happy about that, is that Indy was meeting up with his old friend Salah. And Salah, of course, has always helped him with his journeys. So one thing too, Helena has this abusive boyfriend or fiance in this way, and he's a gangster, and I don't know, but I didn't think he acted like a gangster. He did act like the gangster, but not the gangsters that we know, he's not a godfather or whatever. And in one way, it was really funny to see how he acted and reacted on Helena. And it was some kind of that she had to be rescued by Indy of her abusive fiancé. Then, of course, we also have this little boy, young boy, that reminded me a lot of... Teddy reminded me of Saga from the boy in Stargate 1, or original. And Saga was this boy that had a connection with... oh crap, now I can't remember his name. In Jackson. No, not Jackson. Oh, bloody hell, I forgot his name. But maybe a little side note. I have met Richard Dean Anderson. So the man who played the captain in SG-1 and of course MacGyver. He's really nice. But Teddy reminded me of Saga. And there are a lot of other young boys, of course, that are in the same category, if I can say it like that. What I did notice as well, when they were on that ship of that diver, master diver, the skipper, that was Antonio Banderas. And I did recognize him, but he became older, and I haven't seen him for a while in productions, and so it was nice to see him be in this movie. Although he just had a small role, it was nice to see him back on the screen. So there was this moment that they went to this temporal rift, and in the history was that Archimedes will be sailing just with hundreds of centaurs to the promised land and whatever, the treasure, etc. Just 100. And my question was, why just only 100 centaurians? Can any one of you explain me to that? Because I was thinking, okay, he needs a lot of more in the war, and what else what was running there. So yeah, that was one thing that I was thinking, okay, why? And then of course we had that moment that Indy saw this date in the letters of Helena Shaw's father, and he said there has to be something crucial of those dates. It's the same date but always in a different year. And So it is really I really had a love-hate relationship with this movie, and you can see that also in the movie. The hate relationship that Indy has with Helena. And there was this moment on the diving ship that Helena was talking to him, and they were a bit talking about the past and how or what about her father. And then Helena asked what Indy would do if he could go back in time. And that moment was very sad, because Indy was saying, well, I would go back in time to prevent Mud, his son, to enlist in the army, so he will not die, and tell him he will die. And it's really, I don't know if Indy always had this bad son and father and son relationship, because this is the second time we see in the movie, or also in the Crystal Skull, that Mud, when he discovered that Indy is his father, there is this, I don't know, it has this struggling relationship, and I think some of you can relate to that. And I think that is, what in this way also the movie made a bit of recognizable, but also like it's something what's placed in nowadays, and you see the struggle of Marion, you see the struggle of Mud. Eventually it reminds me a bit of Captain Picard. Captain Picard would have a family, but his job is more important than family life. And that is what I had the feeling what was playing between Mud and Indy as well. Well, when they were diving, they found this other half of the dial in a other famous shipwrecking, and they came up and on the surface, and then they were ambushed again by a Fuller, and of course they almost died, but they escaped. Sorry guys, I have this Dutch word in my head, but I can't remember the English word for it. Hold on, let me check. See, the Dutch word is much longer than the English word for it. The word that I was looking for was barley. So they barely escape again, and with the dial, of course. And Helena was very excited, but Indy needed to remind her, my friend just been killed in front of my eyes. And I don't know, I think she was really, really cold-hearted. And although she had of course Teddy with her, but still, it was like I said before, it was more like she was more into the dial and money than for the preserving of history and artifacts, etc. So she wouldn't be a good example and replacement for Indy. Like I said, I hoped that there was some kind of an open end to go further with it. I don't know if they're going to use Helena Shaw as his follow-up, but I don't think so, to be honest. Another thing I want to remark is that big man of the CIA, he reminds me of the big man of the Umbrella Academy. I don't know why. I don't know if it's him. I can check that, by the way. Hold on. Again. Sorry. Oh, jeez. Why didn't I know that? The actor is Oliver Richards, and he is a former wrestler or bodybuilder, and he is from my home country, the Netherlands. Damn, I didn't know that. Okay, so, but he didn't play in the Umbrella Academy, by the way. I just looked that up as well. Teddy, Helena, and Indy have a lot of adventures still. And I must say that normally I am not really into the time traveling, but I must say they kept it subtle in this movie, and yeah, that's fine. I mean, like, it's not that bothering me as normal it will be, for example, in Star Trek or Star Wars doesn't have it really, but okay, you know what I mean. The other remark that I still want to make is that about his good friend Professor Shaw, so Helena's father. It would be nice, and we see him, of course, back in a few of the movies. It would be nice if we could have a bit more background of him and what happened in that 18 years that Indy didn't see Helena. And I'm wondering in the way of, why has she become like this? And why would she put Indy through this? And I did think I don't want to say big, it was weird that Marion in the end came back, but I think she could have had a bigger role than she had in this movie, and that's all because I think the whole side story of Indy, you know, he having his family but also his knowledge in artifacts, etc. But it's in one way you will see that I would have loved to see more of Indy and his background, his family life, etc. And not as in Indy the Adventure. So yeah, you can also see that this movie is really the end for Indy, because he's getting shot multiple times. That is not weird, but it does of he's getting badly wounded, and he is really getting too old to all this adventure thing. And it's I don't want to say nice to know that what he all did in Indiana Jones, as in Indiana Jones, but it's also like, is this really the end? And I'm wondering if we gonna see more of Indiana Jones, cause like I said, Harrison Ford is of course already 80 years old, and so if they want to continue the Indiana Jones saga, there has to be a follow-up or an apprentice or assistant or whatever that will take over. And would you guys like to see a following up at this, or would you like to see a total new movie series with a very young Indiana Jones? Tell me about it. Tell me in the comment section below. And I like to hear what you guys' thoughts are on this movie and probably the end of Indiana Jones. Thank you for listening, and join me in 2 weeks for a new episode of Orinda Talks. The next episode is about Star Trek Legends. This is a new video game on PC. You can find the Orinda Talks on Spotify, Anchors, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, on the YouTube channel, or join the Facebook group. I also have 2 other podcasts called The Dutch Ready Room and Girls Talking Trek. The Dutch Ready Room is a podcast for Dutch Trekkies to talk about everything Star Trek. Of course, this will be spoken in my native language, Dutch. You can find the Dutch Ready Room on the Facebook group or YouTube channel. Girls Talking Trek is a Trek podcast that I used to do with my good friend Amanda, but since her passing, I'm doing the podcast alone. So I'm still looking for another Trek friend who will and have the time to recap with me every 2 weeks an episode of Star Trek. At the moment I'm recapping season 3 of Star Trek TNG. I will see you next time.